All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Living the Dream podcast. Today on the show, we have Wajid Hassan. Sorry, did I pronounce that correctly?
Perfectly.
Awesome. And he is the author of The Struggle for World Sanity. And so we're going to get to hear a little bit more about his journey, his book, and his dreams and goals. So, Wajid, how you doing?
Doing great. Do I call you Timothy or Tim? How would you
You can
like to?
actually call me Timmy.
Timmy. Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
Doing great, Timmy. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. And we like to jump right in. So if you could start just telling us a little bit about yourself and some of the stuff you like to do for fun, that would be great.
Well, I was born in Pakistan. My parents moved to England when I was 3 years old. I was raised in England, the north of England, and then we moved to London. I had my formal education in England, got into the technical field, became a field service engineer, and then moved to United States, primarily in Los Angeles. I lived in Los Angeles for over 30 years. Did a technical background there as a field service engineer for a large corporation. And then all of a sudden, I had some drastic things happen in my life, and I decided to change my career and got into stand-up comedy, acting, commercials, and I did that for like 20 years as a union actor. And so then I recently moved to North Carolina, and that's that's a brief description of my resume.
That's awesome. So what prompted actually, before we get into all that, tell us a little bit about your recreational activities and what you do for fun.
I was an avid hiker. I love hiking. I had the honor in 2006. I went on a safari to Kenya, and then from there we traveled over to Tanzania, and I got to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is Africa's tallest mountain. So that was quite an experience. So I like the outdoors. I think it's very important. I try to go for walks every day. It's very important for people in the city life or when in the doldrums to get out, breathe fresh air, be part of nature because that's what we're connected to. We're all part of the cosmos. So it's very important to do that. So that's one activity I really enjoy. And the other one is watching funny videos because laughter is the best medicine. So whenever I feel a little down, I'll just go on watch some Dave Chappelle or Sinbad or just funny stuff to get me kind of going up. Those things are a good balance in life, especially what's going on these days, Timmy. The economy and the world and COVID. So those things are important balance for life.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Laughter is the best medicine. Awesome. Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your motivation in life and just what gets you up and gets you going every day?
Well, like I say, when I was in England, uh, I was raised primarily as a Muslim in a Muslim household, but I also went to Church of England schools, so I got both worlds. I read the Quran, went to the mosque, and at the same time, I was doing Bible studies and singing hymns and carols. And then at the age of 16, I found my own yogi master, an Englishman by the name of Dr. George King, who revealed some amazing truths about life, philosophies, metaphysics, healing. And I've been following him ever since. I've been an avid follower for the last 40 years. So that was my motivation for writing the book last year, The Struggle for World Sanity. Um, it's not a financial endeavor. No, these days there's thousands of books on Amazon, but it's an ambition of mine to reveal certain truths that have not been revealed before to the public, but also to inspire your listeners that there's light at the end of the tunnel. Because let's face it, these are very trying times these days. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And what was your yogi master's name one more time?
His name was Dr. George King. He was an Englishman. He was born in England during World War II. During the Nazi Blitz over England, he served as a section leader for the London Fire Brigade Search and Rescue. And then after the war, when he was 25, he got serious into yoga, meditation. He would practice yoga for like 8 to 10 hours a day, not just the physical hatha yoga, but breathing, mantra chanting, till he got into very high states of meditation and became a yogi adept, where he was actually contacted by higher beings who sent some tremendous messages through him. So he was an exceptional individual. And again, not many people have really heard of him because he kind of stayed out of the limelight. And so part of writing the book was not so much to promote myself, but more with this great teacher who revealed a lot of fascinating truths that, and like I say, haven't been revealed before.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love that. And so tell us a little bit more about your vision for the book and kind of what you want it to be.
Well, the thing is, it happened. It's very interesting. When I got it published, it went straight to #1 bestseller on Amazon on two categories. First was mysticism and spirituality, and the other one was UFOs. And so there's a tremendous interest now in those in that subject matter. And it happened at a time when COVID was just starting. And let's face it, Timmy, I mean, we're in a situation right now, we have these endless wars. We've got hatred between religions and races, and an economic system that favors the rich. We've got divisions between religions and pollution and all these things. So the reason for writing the book was to offer some hope for the future. Uh, just to let your listeners know that even though we seem to be regressing, things don't seem to be looking that good. I just want to I wrote the book to let people know that there is a better future for us that's been foreseen and will happen. So what we see now is not what's going to happen in a couple of 100 years. Things are going to change for the better.
Yeah, absolutely. And so now I kind of want to backtrack a little bit. And I know you were a field service engineer for a very long time. What kind of made you make that transition from field service engineer to stand-up comedy, acting, and commercials?
Well, it's interesting because that was back in 1997. When my yogi, I followed him to Los Angeles as well, and he passed away, and I got into a deep depression. And my wife at the time, she said, look, in high school in London, you got in front of people and you made people laugh. And my drama teacher actually, she told me, look, you're a natural once you get into comedy and acting. But my parents, being immigrants, they wouldn't have anything to do with it. It was like math and science and get a real job. So I decided, well, you know what, I'll take some stand-up comedy lessons, and I'll check it out. And I was quite happy just doing open mics at the LA, the Comedy Store and the Laugh Factory and the Improv. And I was content with that. But I had a little computer repair shop in Hollywood. And this lady walked in and she kept looking at me after I repaired a computer. And I said, why do you keep looking at me? She said, you have an interesting face. I said, so? She said, well, I'm a casting director. I said, so? I didn't know what a casting director was. She said, well, let's see if we can get you an agent. So she got me an agent. And then I started booking commercials. And then next thing, I got a theatrical agent, managed to get parts small parts in sitcoms and movies. So I decided to change my career then.
That is awesome. And so it was just kind of like you know, you hit kind of a depressive state and you got some counsel from the people around you, started taking small steps, and then it turned into bigger steps. And then it was a whole career change.
Yeah, I think if people are in a rut with their job, or like for me, I got burnt out on technical field. Everybody wanted it yesterday, and it was I worked for a corporation, and the harder you work, the more work they gave you. You know, I mean, I made it to like um, employee of the national employee of the month because I was working really hard and all that. But in the corporate world, you're just a number. And then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to work myself to the grave. I'm going to do what I want to do. And, it meant a drastic reduction because, working actors, we don't get paid. Only the ones that make it really big get paid good money. But, I had to do menial jobs as a security guard and as a limo driver and, side jobs. valet guy, just so I could audition during the day. But I did it for 20 years, managed to get a decent resume. So I'm very proud of what I did, although it's a very, very competitive industry,
Yeah,
I think
for sure.
I think it's like a drug, like any drug, you just go for that high, because that high is when you're in on set and everybody's treating you like king for the day, and so it's just chasing that high, and so I had 20 years of it, and I'm glad. In one way, I'm very glad I did it as well.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. I feel that completely. And at least you got to do what you love to do and you got to have a lot of fun doing it. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, tell us a little bit more about the book and kind of what the book entails. I know it's kind of like painting the picture for a better future for everybody who reads it, but just give us a little bit more detail about it.
Well, part of it is my own personal journey, my own personal life, and then my experiences with my yogi master, some mystical experiences, some experiences I actually had with UFOs, personal experiences which I kept to myself. One very drastic one I had when I was 18, I kept to myself, and it was only when I wrote the book I decided to reveal that. I think more and more people are, because of technology, because of the openness of science, people are more accepting now of the possibility of not only life on other planets, but life that is advanced scientifically, and to me also spiritually advanced. And so part of the book is to reveal some of the context my yogi master had with beings from higher dimension, other planets, who were actually extremely concerned, especially during the 50s and 60s, when we started exploding hydrogen bombs, and there was a very direct danger of the planet dying, and the destruction of mankind. And I believe that higher beings intervened on our behalf and pretty much saved us. I think they absorbed a lot of the radioactive fallout during that time, because even scientists today, they can't figure out how we survived all. I mean, Russia exploded at least 1,000 atom bombs. America exploded over 1,000, and it was enough to pretty much kill the planet. So, and I think it was intervention by not only spiritually minded higher beings, but also scientifically advanced beings that people talk about, that man these spacecraft, which are called UFOs. So people are not. In the past, people would laugh, but now, when astronauts talk about being followed to the, when they're on their way to the moon by UFOs, and you know, retired military generals talk about UFOs visiting nuclear facilities and neutralizing nuclear silos, people are not laughing anymore. People are taking this now very seriously, and in the past they would laugh at you if you were a UFO buff. Now people laugh at people who don't believe in extraterrestrial life. So it's a changing environment.
Yeah, for sure. And that is definitely something I have not heard a lot about. Like I didn't know there was all this like the US and Russia exploded over 1,000 bombs and retired generals talking about nuclear silos and astronauts talking about being followed. Like I did not know all that. So I'm being educated right here on the podcast live.
Yeah, it's amazing. Some of the truths that have been revealed, and most people don't even know about it. Actually, in back in the early 50s, there was a terrible nuclear explosion in the Ural Mountains in Russia, and Russia kept it quiet. They didn't talk about it. And the beings that contacted my yogi master talked about this terrible explosion that could have killed over 18 million people in the Ural Mountains in Russia, and they couldn't control it. So they intervened on our behalf, and subsided that explosion. And it was not till 1976 that a nuclear scientist from Russia openly declared that yes, there was that explosion in the Ural Mountains. And so to me, that was validation that my yogi master was in contact, because he knew about it before Russia even talked about, 20 years later, they said, yes, it was true, but he was given information about that explosion right at the time when it happened. So to me, that was a validation that he was in contact with these beings.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
another thing, see, the thing is, it's very important not only to have an open mind, but, I'm not here to convert your listeners to any ideology, but I think it's very important that as intelligent people, we need to do our own research. We need to do our own investigation and use our own intuition, keep an open mind. And that's what I'm asking listeners to do. But another validation that I thought was fascinating, especially somebody like me coming from a technical background. Um, in the 50s and 60s, these beings would telepath my yogi master, and they would talk about UFO sightings in Australia, New Zealand, and America. Listen to this, Timmy. 3 weeks before they happened. Okay, so they would say there would be sightings here, there, and whatever. And then 3 weeks later, those exact sightings occurred. So again, for me, another obvious validation that this was in fact correct, a legitimate contact with these higher beings. So that I thought that was fascinating.
Yeah, for sure. That is really interesting. Like I don't know. I'm not around people who talk about it. So thanks for talking about it. If you could meet one type of person right now that could help you kind of spread the word about your book and get your message out there, who would that person be and how would they do it?
Always wanted to get on the Joe Rogan show, but that's hard. But he's a firm believer of UFOs. He's had a lot of experts on there. So if you have any contacts for Joe, get me on there.
You know, I may be incorrect in thinking this, but I'm pretty sure Joe Rogan lives in Austin.
Oh, okay.
Maybe
I could
he
leave you
just
my
has a
web. I could leave you my website. You could maybe get me on there. So that would be good value. That'd be good to be on Joe, because he's a firm believer in life on other planets, and he's had a lot of he's had, I think, Dr. Richard Gere and other people on there talking about extraterrestrial life and UFOs. So that would be good.
Gotcha. So you want to get on the Joe Rogan show? Love it.
Well, I believe in your concept, Timmy, that you are the company that you keep. And a couple of years ago, I got to meet Mark Victor Hansen, who was the co-author of the best-selling Chicken Soup for the Soul series. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it's very good. I was part of his inner circle, along with some other business-minded people, and it's very good to network with people who are successful, and because it does, by osmosis, it does work out that you are the company that you keep. So I like that concept that you have.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really important concept and it just proves true over and over and over. So, yeah, I appreciate that. What is the most important one or two things that everyday people can do to help you accomplish your dream of, spreading your message, getting on the Joe Rogan show, or any other visions that you have for your life?
Well, I don't I don't have any like major material ambitions. I think I've had a decent material success in life. I'm more geared now towards the spiritual. Um, I believe that we're spiritual beings in physical bodies, and the physical body is the least important aspect of ourselves. I think it's very important to have material success. Of course, you can't walk around with begging bowls. It's important to have security and money, and uh, so that you can follow whatever dream that you all want to follow. Some people want to become millionaires. Good for them. For me, my inspiration, my drive now is to let people know that we need to change. There's certain things that are occurring right now. There's a change, a spiritual change going on, not a religious change, a spiritual change. People call it the Great Awakening. There's a consciousness change where people, I think, is to do astrologically with the Aquarian age. Another aspect is the Mother Earth herself is raising the vibration. So people are thinking more on a global level, as opposed to country, of town, or family, and people are looking more on the concept that we are all connected. The internet, high tech, Wi-Fi is making the world, smaller and smaller. And the more we realize now that we're all aspects of one whole, and we're not just a bunch of, you know, Africans or Americans or Russians. We are one human race, and that's one concept that I want to throw out as part of my message is to start a global consciousness of cooperation and helping each other.
Starting a global consciousness of cooperation and helping each other.
Yeah.
I love that. I love particularly what you said about, we're not African or white or Mexican or, we're not like our ethnicities, we're not our races, we're not our cultures. It's like spiritual beings and physical bodies. And at our core, we can all relate on that level.
Well, there's no such thing as national pride because I'm a firm believer in reincarnation. It answers the so-called inequalities of life. Why is somebody born poor? Why is somebody born rich? Why is somebody virtuoso in piano at the age of 3? Why is somebody has an IQ, of a professor at the age of 7? I believe that that the in fact, the cosmic beings have said that reincarnation, the teaching of reincarnation, has to be reintroduced back to the planet because people would think twice, first of all, of national pride, because how can you just remain in one particular body and learn everything? We're here to learn many different experiences. So we come as different races, even different sexes. We come and so people would think twice when they went to war, knowing that the person that they're going to murder could be actually their mother or father or brother or sister in a previous life. So I think that concept has to be, and people are questioning that as well. To me, that recently I saw an article in the English newspaper, the Daily Express. Some Christian researchers found out that reincarnation was actually taught in the Christian religion and was taken out 700 years ago to deliberately throw this one life. You only have one life to live in order to control the masses. So even that stuff is being revealed. So truths that were hidden are actually being revealed today, and people are opening themselves up. So I think that concept of reincarnation has to be reintroduced in order to make people understand that you can't be a proud American or a proud Russian or a proud whatever race, that we're all parts of different races and we come through different reincarnations in order to learn experience. And there's only one reason we're here on this planet, and that's to raise our consciousness. We're not here to suffer. We're here to raise our consciousness to high states of mind, to high states of meditation, so that we can be free and explore space, explore the cosmos. We regress. We weren't supposed to be in a situation we're like now. And if we study our history, at one time we were actually very advanced beings, but we've fallen from our evolutionary cycle. And so again, part of the reasons for writing the book is to let people know, hey, open up your mind to where we came from, and it's time to rise and become, the people, the advanced beings that we were at one time.
Yeah, for sure. I think you'd hear a lot of arguments about, we're more advanced now because of technology and stuff, but science replaced a lot of spirituality in a lot of people's lives. And there's just so much evidence that spirituality and, what our ancestors were doing that a lot of us may look back on as like feeble minded or something like that. There's actually some stuff to it, And
Well, Dr. King, he wrote this book called The Nine Freedoms back in the 60s, and he had a chance to go into deep meditation and read the true history of our planet. And we actually were scientifically advanced. There was two scientifically advanced races that he talked about. The first was called the civilization of Lemuria, and the second was called the civilization of Atlantis. And he said that both these civilizations fell under a nuclear war. So don't believe all this caveman, stone man stuff. We were extremely scientific, advanced beings at one time. Again, because of our past actions, we regressed. So he made a statement. He says, "There's no religion without science. There's no science without religion. Science today is geared towards more, the best brains on our planet are developing the most destructive weapons to kill the planet." And so science, of course, I applaud all the medical breakthroughs and everything, but science needs to change and have this spiritual concept to help the planet, to help with pollution, to stop all these ridiculous wars, and focus on helping each other and bringing peace to this planet instead of we're regarded by advanced beings as a very savage, warlike race. So it's time that we rose en masse in peace and started becoming the human beings that we were supposed to be in the first place, which is all part of the whole anyway.
I love that. I love that. Well, awesome. Now we're going to jump into our thriving three. And I'm going to ask you what your favorite book, movie, or podcast is. Pick one.
I have to say my favorite book was Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I read that when I was 16. It brought back memories of certain places that I was, and it just inspired me. So it's a great book. Some amazing experiences that he had, and some of the Indian yogi masters he met in India. That was a big inspiration for me. Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda.
Gotcha. Love it. And what's one way you like to care for yourself?
What's that?
What's one way you like to care for yourself, take care of yourself?
I think I think it's important to have it's important to stay disciplined mentally, physically, spiritually. I try. I have a routine where I do prayer and meditation. I go for a walk. I think it's a healthy body is a healthy mind. It's good. It's very, they say that the body is the temple of the soul. It's important to take care of yourself health-wise so that you can keep well mentally. So those, just I used to be heavy into jogging and heavy exercises. Now that I'm a little bit older, I do more moderate exercise. But I think fresh air, taking care of yourself, eating the right foods, all those things are very important for your mental outlook as well.
Awesome. I love it. And what's one action step you can take right now to continue, spreading your message and also reaching the kind of like spiritual goals that you're trying to reach?
The big action step, which I pointed out in the book, is that back in the 70s, they had the oil embargo, and there was this talk about an energy crisis. And my yogi master said, there's only one energy crisis on this planet, and that's a spiritual energy crisis. Spiritual energy is just the radiation of spiritual and of pranic energy that comes from the sun, which we can radiate through our palms of our hands and our heart center. It's a very tangible energy. You can stand in front of a mirror, you can visualize white light, and you can feel the tingling coming back. And a lot of these, healers, one of the greatest healers on the planet, of course, was the Master Jesus. He could use this spiritual energy to raise the dead and heal the blind and help the lepers. And so that universal energy is lacking right now, and that's part of the whole problem of mankind. So I belong to a group that we send out regular spiritual energy every day. A group of people from 30, 40 different countries. So if people are interested in helping us raise the consciousness and the vibration, they can go to it's a website called 12 Blessings, the number 12 blessings.org, and join us in helping raise the consciousness and sending healing out to a troubled planet.
Awesome. Well, on that note, I think that's a good place to end our show. Wajid, thank you so much for coming on the show. And also, if you were listening to this and you vibed with anything that he had to say, you agreed with it, you want to know more about it, feel free to contact him. Ways to do that will be in the show notes. Buy the book, send the book to a friend. And most importantly, what we ask you to do at the end of every show is send this episode to somebody who needs to hear Wajid's message and make sure that they get it and they receive it, and then talk with them about it. Finally, go drop us a 5-star rating on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching. Wajid, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks, Timmy. It was a real pleasure. And if people want to check out my website, they can go to Wajid Author, WajidAuthor.com.
WajidAuthor.com.
Yeah.
Awesome. That'll be in the show notes, and so will 12blessings.org. Sounds good. Wajid, thank you.
Thanks, Timmy.
And we're out.